What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel. Noah Hiles here. It's Thursday, which means it's time for another Pirates mailbag. Again, just another solo one here. Still waiting for Colin to get a couple more reps before we, you know, force him to come on camera and share his opinions on a team he's been covering for 1 week. So, again, you're going to eventually see him here, but for now, it's just going to be me doing these mailbags. Really enjoy this dynamic that we've added to the channel. We've always done mailbags here at the Post-Gazette, and some other beats, including ones that I've been on prior, have done the mailbag this way, but I think it's a fun addition to our Pirates coverage. You can read the mailbag, obviously, at post-gazette.com. And you can watch it here too if you want a little bit more than just the written up paragraph. If you want maybe the context of or the tone in which I'm saying these things, or the bonus questions that I throw in at the end, that's what you get from watching it here. It's a lot of fun, and it's brought to you by Greenewalt Roofing, which we will hear more from in a bit. So yeah, there's the intro of the show. Time for another mailbag. Let's dive in. Got 7 questions today. We'll start with this one from Pirates Faithful. Who is the solution for our closer problem? I think the solution, at least for now, has got to be Dennis Santana. I think that's the easy answer here. Typically, you like a right-hander in that role. And I think that he's, regardless righty-lefty, I think he's probably just the best overall reliever in this bullpen right now. I really liked what Dennis Santana was doing on the mound at the end of last year. He didn't look amazing when they first acquired him, but about a month into his time with the Pirates, he started looking really good. I think he had a really good August. If the memory serves correctly, I think July was good. August was really good for him. And then he finished the year strong in September. He was one of their best relief pitchers in the second half last year, if not the best relief pitcher for them in the second half last year. And it's carried over. It's not like he has the best stuff in the bullpen, but I just think that he has the intangibles you look for in a closer. He is so confident out there. He's got that attack mentality that you'd like to see on the mound in the 9th inning. And I think he is efficient too. He's not a guy who's going to build up a whole bunch of counts. He's going to get an outcome and at bats in 5 pitches or less more often than not. And I think that matters because when you're piling on long at bat after long at bat, an inning can get out of hand. Even if you're throwing a lot of strikes, if you're not able to get quick outs, it can be tough. I mean, you look at what he did today. I'm recording this Wednesday evening. I mean, he was, I think, the most impressive reliever of the bunch, and the bullpen looked really good in Wednesday's win. The fact that he had 3 ups, if you're watching this and don't know what that means, an up is when a pitcher starts an inning or participates in an inning. So it means like you got up off the bench to throw. He had 3 ups, and they were like in the 9th and 10th, I want to say 8th, 9th, and 10th, I believe. That's not many guys are doing that, especially in April. So that's impressive. And I mean, I believe the first 2 outs he got were on 2 pitches. So he's very efficient. I think he has what it takes to be a closer. Maybe not long-term. Maybe they're not signing this guy to an extension and making him the closer of the future, but I think he should be the closer right now. Second question comes from Adam. What happened to Liover Peguero? Or Liover Peguero, I should say. I remember him not too long ago consistently being a top 5 prospect, but I never hear about him anymore. Does he have a future with the big league club, or is it yet another whiff by Ben Cherington? I don't know if I don't know what Peguero's future looks like here in the major leagues. Simply put, this guy just needs to hit the baseball. He's a solid fielder. I think he actually might be an above average fielder. Getting out to Indy and watching him in a couple of games last year and just watching him in spring training, he's a major league caliber infield defender. The bat's just not there, and the defense is not good enough to make up for the bat. Whereas like Jared Triolo obviously has not been a great hitter at this level to this point in his major league career. But the glove is so good, you almost excuse it, right? Like, obviously, you want to see Triolo continuing to get better, but if you can provide plus value defense, you're willing to accept below average offense. But Peguero's not that great of a defender. He's good, but he's not amazing, and it's not good enough to make up for what he's lacking at the plate. It's also important to remember that this guy is only 24 years old still, and last year was his first full season in AAA. So there might be still time to develop him, but I don't know. I mean, I do feel like the clock is ticking with Peguero. He has opportunities, I think. I mean, I don't think he had a very good spring at all, especially at the plate. If he hits the ball well, we'll see him up here. I think we will see him at some point this season, just because, I mean, we've already seen Z Chang and Emmanuel Valdez and Alexander Canario. So I don't put it past anyone getting up here at this point. But yeah, I think that I don't know if Peguero's ever going to be, I don't think that Peguero is going to be the player that a lot of fans thought he was going to be a couple years ago when he was on all these prospect lists. I don't know if he's ever going to be an everyday player for this team. He might be for another team sometime in the future, but I don't know. I don't know what his future looks like here in Pittsburgh. RTJR asks, what will it take to put IKF at leadoff where he belongs? Well, RTJR, I would counter by saying he didn't look very good at the leadoff spot last year. And I know he's hitting the ball well, but the way the offense looks right now, are you really willing to mess with something that's working? If he's hitting the ball well in the bottom third of the lineup, keep him in the bottom third of the lineup. That's my stance. The bottom third was such a big issue for the Pirates. Not even last year, but like pretty much the entirety of Shelton and Charrington being at the helm here. Having someone who can consistently round out that bottom third is, I think, important because obviously you want your number one spot in the lineup to be consistent, to be productive, but I kept still turning the order over for Reynolds at the 2-hole, O'Neill at the 3-hole, and I think there are other potential solutions at the top of the order. I think long-term, it's going to end up being Spencer Horwitz. But before he gets back, I would like to see Ke'Bryan Hayes get a lot more run there, especially against left-handers. I like how he matches up there. He's not going to hit 30 home runs, but I think Ke'Bryan is seeing a lot of pitches well. I think he has a good understanding of the strike zone, and I think he can be a fine leadoff hitter for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And then another one I'd like to see is O'Neill Cruz. And I know that some people hate hearing that. I know I've said this on this channel a million times now, it feels like. But the idea of IKF turning an order over to O'Neill at the top, then Reynolds, McCutchen, Bart, Hayes, that's the most lineup protection O'Neill's probably ever had here. Having IKF in front of him after the first time through, and then Reynolds behind him, he's going to get to see a little bit more at the plate. Right now, teams just aren't throwing him a lot of pitches to hit. So I would like to see him get a little run there. If Schwarber can bat leadoff, if Ohtani can bat leadoff, those guys are among, or if not the top power bats on their respective teams. O'Neill Cruz can do it for this team. Tyler wants to know what's the ETA for Horwitz and what does Endy's playing time look like when he is back? 2-part question. We'll start with the first one. Horwitz looks like he's making progress. I mean, we haven't really heard like a bad update on Spencer since he came down with the injury at the start of camp, or before camp, honestly. I wouldn't be shocked if Spencer is starting a rehab assignment in the next week or two. It seems like that's close to the next step, if not the next step. And that rehab assignment's going to take some time. I mean, the guy missed all of spring training, so he's going to need some time to get caught up and feel like a ball player again. So I think if all goes well, we see Horwitz in early May. Maybe not first days of May, but first half of May. And if it goes on the slower side of things, we'll see him in the back half of May. But I don't think we'll see him in the big leagues this month. I think we'll see him playing games this month, probably just in a rehab assignment in the minor leagues. But I think we'll see him in the big leagues sometime in May. If all goes according to plan, probably in the front half of May. This question comes from Burke. Why don't they give Matt Gorski a chance in the big leagues? At this point, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think part of it plays a part. Part of it is just the fact that he's not on the 40-man. They would have to make another move. They'd have to DFA someone, or someone would have to go on the 60-day. You don't want to do that if you don't have to. I'm not huge on the idea of designating someone for assignment for Matt Gorski, because I don't think Gorski has an incredibly high big league ceiling. But when I'm looking at Alexander Canario playing right now, and no disrespect to Canario, he's been a higher rated prospect than Gorski. He's had more success in the minor leagues than Gorski, but is he that much better? I don't know. I think for what the Pirates need right now, especially with Triolo on the IL, I think Gorski is more value. This team needs a reliable defensive outfielder. Gorski is that. Gorski would be the best outfield defender on the big league roster. He'd be their best outfield glove. And he can also play first. You don't have Triolo right now. With him being on the IL, you get it in a legitimate, when I say legitimate, I mean a guy who actually knows how to play the position, a true right-handed bat who can play that position sparingly. And, you know, you platoon him with Endy or Valdez or whoever else you want to put there. And then you can be a reserve outfielder who hits from the right side. I don't expect him to ever really be an everyday player here. I think that's been made clear by the team, the fact that he's still not on the 40-man roster and he's like 27 years old. But the guy's, I think, done enough to earn a shot in the big leagues. I think we'll see him at some point this year. But man, I don't know. I think before Horwitz comes up, I think it would make more sense to have him up right now than Canario, personally. So obviously that didn't happen, but maybe it does before we see Horwitz back up. Got a couple of questions that I still want to answer. I get the bonus questions here for those watching on YouTube. Before we get to that, we have to hear from our sponsor, if I can find it. Yes, here it is, Greenewalt Roofing.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenewalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenewalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense. From rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenewalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenewalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenewaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. PA contractor number 36262.
All right, big thanks to Greenewalt Roofing. We move into the final two questions here. These are just exclusive to YouTube. First one, Bucks Talk. If you had more time with Nutting, what's another question you would have asked him? I like this one a lot. For those watching that don't know, on Friday, the day of the home opener, myself and Alex Stumpf of MLB.com were given an exclusive interview opportunity with Bob Nutting. The circumstances behind it weren't necessarily ideal. We found out about it last minute. It was just kind of offered spontaneously. Didn't have a ton of time to prepare. Like, I'm talking like 2 minutes to prepare. And we knew it was going to be brief. Didn't know it was going to only be like 5 minutes. We each only got to ask a couple of questions, 3 each. So I'll just say I would have, if I would have known I was only going to get to ask 3 questions, I wouldn't have started with something light. Like, oh, I think I asked about opening day. Typically, I like to do that in interviews just to ease in to a subject. But normally when I do that, I'm not rushing. I know that I have time to ask what I need to ask. I just feel like that's a professional courtesy you're supposed to extend to your subjects. Just ease into it, and that might allow your interview subject to open up and feel like they can talk to you a little bit more. But if I had known that I only got 3 questions I knew it was going to be brief. Didn't know it was going to be that brief. If I had known it was only going to be 3 questions, I probably would have just came out and started asking the hard stuff to begin with. So one extra question I would have liked to ask. I mean, honestly, I would have liked to follow up on the things he said in both the second and the third answers. I would have liked to have him assess the offseason. Are you satisfied with the moves that were made, personnel-wise? Do you feel like they should have brought in more talent from the outside, more trades, more free agent signings? I would have asked him about his assessment of Derek Shelton and how he feels the first 5 years have gone and what led him to feel confident enough that he was the right guy for year 6. Those were 2 things that I probably would have hit more on. I would have asked more about his comment about how he says he felt that he has provided enough resources to create a winning team. That's the big comment that generated the most waves, right? And that comment, it's like, well, why? What makes you feel that way? Because the payroll hardly went up at all. And last year, the payroll wasn't enough. And while, sure, execution that was a very valid point on his end. Like, I agree, the players need to be better. But there comes a point where maybe these players just aren't good enough. And if there's not enough guys to be developed right now, the quick fix is going out and getting new ones externally. And it would have just been interesting to see what he had to say on that front. It's maybe he would have pointed out like how those resources have been allocated. I know there's all this talk in some circles about the analytics and the investment in analytics that this team has done. I can tell you firsthand from someone who knows a lot of people in the front office and on the baseball ops staff, has had the time to sit down with some of them, have conversations, get to know them a little bit. This isn't a huge baseball ops staff. It's not like they have hundreds of employees or hundreds more than anyone else. I would say that this baseball ops staff is around the same size as most teams, if not a little smaller. I think their investments they've been making, the ones that people have been talking about, are them playing catch up. Because I think that the Pirates 10 years ago, yeah, they were on the cutting edge of some things analytically. But then it kind of stalled out. Once those teams reach the postseason, what happens to other small market teams happened here. Other people in the front office, other young, innovative minds got poached by other organizations for better opportunities. That happens. And I feel like the Pirates never really recovered from that. And then a new regime came in. That new regime wanted to take a year to assess everything, and a global pandemic happened. And then they took a little bit of time to get moving and start finding new people and new positions after the pandemic. And the moves made this offseason probably should have been made a couple years ago, but due to the aforementioned circumstances, they didn't. So I would have just liked to hit more on, because Bob thinks he gave enough resources for the team, I would have said, well, where are these resources being used? Like, go into the specifics. What checks are you signing for the analytics? Was there a willingness to spend more if a free agent was interested in signing a multi-year deal? Are you looking at any extensions? I would have hit on all that stuff. There was so much more. And I hope I get to talk to Bob again. I don't think he's selling the team anytime soon. And I hope to be covering this team for at least, another 4 or 5 years. We'll see how long. And maybe until all my hair falls out and they drive me crazy. But no, in all seriousness, I think that there will be other opportunities to speak with Bob. And I look forward to having an opportunity to be a little bit more prepared, to know that an interview is coming, and to be able to not feel rushed during it and be able to ask a little bit more. So, excuse me. Thanks for that question. That was an interesting one where I got to peel back the curtain a little bit on things. Well, and on a lighter note, from Malls. And first off, real quick, shout out to Malls. one of my favorite followers that I have on X. Just really enjoy the interactions with Malls. So shout out Malls. What's the best section to sit at in PNC Park for the money? So like bang for your buck. Interesting. He's asking me which seat will do. Which seat do I suppose would do? I have two sections when I'm going as a spectator that I really enjoy. I think 125 is a really good bang for your buck deal. Anything on the third baseline is obviously good because you get the skyline on that side. You're in the sun. But I think 125, you're about even with third base. So you can get a good look of the outfield and the infield. And I think that that's a little cheaper than like 124 through. It's not considered like the middle of the lower bowl. It's considered like a baseline thing. So you get a little bit more bang for your buck there, I believe. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've bought Pirates tickets, frankly. It's my job now. So don't go there as a spectator very often. And when I do, someone else normally buys them and I just Venmo them. So yeah, 125 is one of my favorite sections. My favorite section to sit in as a kid, though, was 140. That's when I would go growing up with my dad, when I was growing up and going to the ball game with my dad, especially during the home openers. I've been to every Pirates home opener since 2005. Obviously, the last few have been as a beat writer, and I've covered a couple prior to covering the Pirates for the PG. I also worked at the Fan, and I covered, I think, 2 for them as well. So I've covered 4, and then the rest I've gone to as a spectator. And most of those, yeah, we always would try to get tickets in 140 when I was growing up, because I know you could still see the scoreboard kind of. You miss the skylines behind you, but I think the center field seats in PNC Park are really good. You're like eye level with the mound, and you can kind of see a lot that's going on. And when I was little, I loved showing up early for batting practice, trying to chase down some balls, get some autographs. I still have the balls behind me in a basket here. Let me see if I can find it. I have a whole basket full of these baseballs, and they all have a little note on them of when I caught them, like the game. Yeah, Dodgers Pirates, 2006. Russell Martin, or no. Here. A backup, rip that. Dodgers backup catcher hit a home run in batting practice, and my sister caught it. Well, she picked it up off the ground and then gave it to me. So I have like a whole basket of those from sitting in section 140 before the game during batting practice that players would throw up to me. I'd catch them, home run balls, try to sneak into that little bush area and grab one before the usher noticed. A lot of good memories there. So those would be my 2 sections, 125 and 140. If you're looking to go to a game, I recommend those 2 spots. So, wow, went down memory lane there. That was fun. All right, so that concludes this mailbag. Again, check out the mailbag, the written version of it, at post-gazette.com. You can check out all of my coverage there, along with Colin Beasley's. We've got columns on the Pirates, whole bunch of analysis, and we've got a lot of other good stuff to read there as well. So get yourself a digital subscription. And on the note of subscriptions, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already at PG Pirates. Just eclipsed 1,000 in less than 2 months. So we're really proud of that. We're going to keep the content going. Pirates have a weekend series in Cincinnati. Let's see if they can win another series. We'll be there to cover it. We'll talk to you then.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.